Your team is all over the world, but how do you train them? Here's some 3 easy to apply steps you can do to make sure you're successful. Remote work is becoming more and more prevalent. After going through a worldwide pandemic, more and more employees are really looking to have options where they can work from home. All the numbers say you can be more productive working from home. More and more workers love that. They don't want that commute. My wife, we also do a lot of remote work now. But the difficulty in doing so is making sure you have a team that understands what your strategies are to grow your business, what are your core values, and that can be difficult. So what we have done at my company, SensorMed, a digital health company that helps practices generate additional revenue and helps patients, is we're able to train our team no matter where they live. And more importantly, we embed them with our culture so they understand exactly what they need to do to be successful. How do we do this? First, number 1, you want to make sure you have consistent meetings. We have 3 meetings a week. We call them our hub meetings, where we have all the team members on there. And we just go rundown of all the different departments to make sure we understand what everyone is doing. This is a great time and opportunity where the cross conversations can happen. Having these consistent meetings ensures that we don't miss any gaps in the business. We do them all virtually via Zoom, but everyone can pipe in and kind of give their report to the rest of the team about the different departments. Also, we have weekly meetings with each department head to make sure they understand what their goals are and what metrics we're tracking their success with. Having these weekly meetings is so key because you get to understand exactly how they see the business, how you see the business, and where the gaps are. So we do that consistently every week with each one of our team leads in each department. Then finally, we think of doing something very different when it comes to these meetings. We try to have a quarterly fun meeting. Now, either this is in person. Recently, we went to Atlanta, had a great big fun blowout dinner and training session. But a lot of times it can be virtual, especially around holiday season. We've had holiday parties, a Christmas party virtually, right? Where we gave gifts and we communicate and talk to each other. Or during Thanksgiving, we've given speeches around what we're thankful for. The goal is to kind of create a sense of fun in a remote atmosphere. And that's so key when you have a remote team because everybody is in different time zones. And sometimes you just don't feel as connected if you don't have these type of meetings in virtual kind of environments. Those are some of the key things that we do to make sure the team stays integrated and combined to be successful. Secondly, this is the next thing we do to make sure we have a cohesive unit and making sure the trainings are more powerful. Creating standard operating procedures. Why is this important? Look, I hated documentation, right, before I had a virtual team, but it's become so crucial because things change all the time. Having a sense of how everyone does their job is so critical for us now because now we understand what they need to do. If they bring on new team members, they know what our best practices are. And more importantly, we can find out where the process is broken if we run into issues with client complaints or other issues. Having documentation that shows exactly what each person should be doing, how we do our different processes, builds a sense of culture that is unparalleled. We've found that people have improved upon these documents. People have found new ways to adjust them. You'll be surprised at how these become living organisms if you really apply it and go back to it. And then also it's a good way to kind of troubleshoot and see how you can get better. Again, if you don't document it, you will never improve, right? Because people are not driven that way. And more importantly, you keep that institutional knowledge inside your corporation. A lot of times we find that people have a lot of information in their head, but they're just not communicating that effectively to each other. But having that written down somewhere so you can say, oh yeah, this is what I do and how I do it, and this is the steps. This makes it so much easier. So definitely you want to write that down. How do you do that? Definitely Google Drive is simple and easy. You can use that pretty quickly, but there's a host of other solutions out there that you can just post a document that just shows step by step, a guide, or even a wiki. We have a wiki for a support team where they have frequently asked questions, FAQs, to kind of help them through that process of helping patients when they use one of our devices or our technology. So key, make sure you have those standard operating procedures in place and be successful in using it. Finally, number 3, you want to make sure you record trainings consistently and often with your team. Yes, you do the trainings and that's great and wonderful, but you want to record them. Why, you say? Well, because it does help to ensure that that lives on. So you can always go back weeks, months, even years to kind of see, how you've improved, how you communicate things, but more importantly, it helps the team to sense of how they want to communicate it. A lot of times communication is not so much what you say, but how you perceive your audience will receive it. So making sure they can communicate on camera clearly to the rest of the team and that's going to be recorded makes them pay attention more to what they're saying and make sure it impacts the most value. We've seen it in our cases where if we don't record it, sometimes the training is not as impactful. But once it's known that it's going to be recorded, it's going to be placed somewhere to be viewed by other folks, everyone takes that way more serious. They have outlines, they have a documentation, they have a PowerPoint, and they make sure it's all clear and concise. So when they communicate it, they know it's going to be the best information they have. But more importantly, just doing that much more effort makes them that much better in training. So the next time will be even better. You get that 1% increase daily. The great book, Atomic Habits, talks about this. You do a little bit every day, you get better every day. That has a cumulative effect for the whole team, so that training just becomes more ingrained into our culture. So by recording this is really key. So what do you use? Zoom is always great, easy to use tool, but Loom is another great tool where you can have a PowerPoint that you share with your face in the center at the bottom in the little circle, but at least there's some training material out there. And then the PowerPoints are also saved next to the training so people can download them and actually have written kind of guides and forms. But really the video is really important also because think about it, you get more information when you have a video training as opposed to maybe audio or just a reading. You're using more of your senses, you're listening, you're watching. So you're gathering more information in real time. And more importantly, you can also show, let's say you have new software, technology, you can actually pull that up on a video training and show exactly how that all works. So that's some of the things that we do when it comes to video training. If you are looking to build out your training, follow these 3 steps. First, you want to make sure that you have consistent meetings and make sure some of the meetings are fun. Second, you want to create standard operating procedures to make sure you have consistency across the corporation to ensure that everyone knows what they need to be doing. And third, you want to make sure you record those trainings so they can live on beyond the person that gave it, but more importantly, you elevate your team's ability to execute that training. Let me know if you want to try some of these suggestions and see how they work in your medical practice or organization as you do more and more remote work. Hey everyone, I want to take the time to let you know how we can help you and your organization navigate the coming changes to your practices. Please join our monthly webinar on how virtual care programs will transform the management of your medical practice. In this informative webinar, you will learn our proven system on how not to miss out on any billable value-based codes, how to scale your team to handle new workflows without burnout, and the onboarding experience for value-based care programs that produce the best patient care. So if you want to learn more, click on the link below and sign up today. As a telehealth provider in 2023, are you prepared for the changes coming your way? That's right, telehealth is changing in 2023, and if you're a provider who offers these services, how are you preparing? If you're not prepared, well, here are some suggestions how to future-proof your business. First, the end of the public health emergency is causing a lot of changes. The public health emergency was great because it helped save lives during the pandemic. The government created it to help increase access to healthcare with the help of telehealth and other digital health tools. The public health emergency allowed telehealth to flourish. In fact, the Government Accountability Office, or GAO, found that the number of telehealth services increased dramatically from 2.1 million the year prior to over 32.5 million in the 12 months from March 2020 to February 2021. That was a 15x increase. The public health emergency ended officially on May 11th of 2023. And with it, we saw some changes that have affected telehealth availability. For example, if an individual receives routine home care via telehealth under the hospice benefit, this flexibility would end at the end of the public health emergency, or PHE. So, when you're faced with these rule changes, how can you move forward in business? Well, I suggest this. Don't ignore the changes, embrace them. So what do I mean? Well, let me tell you a story. When I was in school and taking math classes, a lot of my teachers allowed us to take calculators to use for our tests. And guess what? I used those calculators great. I used to ace those tests, get A's. I would simply put the numbers in the formula that I had memorized, and then like magic, I had the answer to write down for the test. But then I got into trigonometry, and my teacher, Dr. Wells, she was not having any of that. We had to memorize all the formulas we needed, and in real time do the calculations on the exam. At that level of math, there are so many steps in the calculations that if you messed up in step 1, you'll be totally off and not get that problem right. Since ignoring the new rule by the teacher potentially meant I would fail the class, this was not an option. So I had to embrace this change. After understanding the new rules, I realized there were only 4 equations that I really need to memorize. Next, I had to understand all the different steps that need to occur so I can get the correct answer. And the only way I could do that was if I did a ton of problems. So with the help of a lot of work and embracing this change, I ended up getting a B+ in that class. And I learned a valuable lesson. You have to go through the change and embrace it fully. So if you're a medical provider, even with the changes in public health emergency, there are opportunities if you fully embrace this. But with deeper research, I found for you there are waivers that were included as provisions of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023, which has extended many of these telehealth flexibilities through December 31st, 2024. For example, people with Medicare can access telehealth services in any geographic area in the United States, as opposed to just in rural areas. So that's going to be extended now. People with Medicare can stay in their homes for telehealth visits. That Medicare now pays for that, as opposed to traveling to a healthcare facility. So that's going to be extended to 2024. And finally, certain telehealth visits can be delivered using audio-only technology, such as a telephone, if someone is unable to use both audio and video, such as a smartphone or computer. So this is a great news. If you do further research, you can find opportunities. But now is the time to take advantage of this time to begin the next phase of your telehealth business. So next, after you embraced it, you have to think about the next phase of this. So recently, I had a call from a potential client that commented he was competing not only with other doctors for his telehealth services, but with hospitals, large telehealth companies, and even retail companies like CVS. The challenge of trying to differentiate in this crowded market was a real concern for him. So how do you, as an independent practice, going to grow your medical practice in telehealth in this increasingly busy, crazy market? Here's a crazy solution. Instead of doing more, why not think more? So what do I mean? When I was younger, I used to work with my grandfather in his contracting business. We would go out and spend long, hot summers working on houses in this small town of Pembroke, Illinois. It was tough trying to follow him around. He was in his 60s, and here I am, a teenager, trying to keep up with him. Very difficult. I used to hate this work. Sometimes I would be on the roof of the houses to hammer roofing tiles into the frame. I would spend 10 minutes on each tile trying to nail in 5 nails per tile. It was hot and there were a lot of tiles to hammer in. I just figured I'd just keep hammering. The harder I hammer, the faster I hammer, the faster I get done. When my grandfather saw what I was doing, he told me to stop and think about what I was doing. Because the tiles sat on top of each other, 2 nails were enough to enable you to make sure they laid into the frame of the roof. So simply thinking about what I was doing saved me time, effort in the long run. So currently doing what you have been doing will not get you to the next level if you are a provider of telehealth services. The only way to position yourself in this crowded market of telehealth is to think more about how you can offer more value to your patients. For example, beyond just offering healthcare access to your patients with telehealth, think about what other things you can do to solve real problems for them. In some cases, this could be things like managing weight loss or diabetes management. For example, why not offer more value to solve that particular problem? If you're looking at diabetes management programs, why not help them build a diet plan to ensure that they eat healthy and keep the diabetes in check? Also offer remote glucose monitoring. That would be something unique for your patient population, especially if you can get the results they're looking for. And in this case, this would be lower A1C levels. So ultimately, as a telehealth provider that's looking to change in this new market, you can control and absolutely embrace these changes for your telehealth business by simply thinking more about the new opportunities that exist all around you. My company, SensorMed, offers to help telehealth providers who are looking to embrace new models of care like remote monitoring with our new Practice Value Creator program. To learn more, check us out at practicevaluecreator.io. That's practicevaluecreator.io today. And as always, please like, comment, and share this content as we all struggle to move forward in this new normal of healthcare.